I was working on my shed in the backyard, the warm twilight fading into a crisp autumn night. It was the kind of night that made you feel alive, connected to the outdoors. I'd been building the shed for weeks now, a side project to keep me occupied. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. One night, I tiptoed to the window, pulling back the curtain just enough to peer outside. All I saw was darkness. Then, I saw something glinting on the ground near the yard. Tools. A hammer, a saw, and a plane. The tools were pristine, as though they'd never seen a day of use. The wood handles were smooth, the metal polished to a reflective sheen. But each one had a mark on its surface, a symbol I couldn't decode, burned into the material as if it had been branded. I frowned. I had been working here, but those tools weren't mine. I looked the yard to see if there was any movement. That's when I noticed an outline in the dirt, leading from the pile of tools to the base of the house. After, they were no longer in a pile. They were arranged neatly in a straight line, pointing toward the house. The next morning, the tools were gone. I finally stepped outside to look for signs, anything to make sense of what had happened. The ground near the crawl space was disturbed, the soil scratched and scuffed. Someone, or something, had dug through it with agitation. The tools were floating, suspended in the air, spinning around. The tools began to spin faster, slicing with a high-pitched drone. In the evening, as I drove the final nails into the frame, I noticed that a man was in my yard, half hidden by the shadows of the tree line. Evening, I called out, trying to keep my tone friendly. He came closer, and I saw he was older. He held a handsaw loosely. "I was passing through," he said, gesturing vaguely to the dark expanse behind him. "Noticed your tools were out of place." The words were simple, but they didn't make sense. How would he have seen the tools? I hadn't even mentioned them. "Where did you get that?" I asked. Funny thing, isn't it? Tools always seem to find their way back. "Need a joiner?" he asked, his voice gravelly. I vacillated. "I'm just about done, actually." Without another word, he crossed into the yard and started inspecting my work. He knelt down, ran his hand along the frame, and wrapped the wood with the saw handle. "It's not right," he mumbled. "What's not right?" I asked. He picked up a loose board and began sawing it with controlled cuts. "Sir, this is private property," I pressed, trying to channel authority. "Wait," I said, "what are you doing?" But when I reached him, he was gone. The board he'd been sawing lay on the ground, not a single mark on its surface.